centers. Objective of establishing these centers is to organize short-term professional development programs for the faculty members and training programs for the administrative functionaries of the member universities, especially on the use of technology and adopting blended learning methods of teaching. This online FDP is on the theme Tools and Techniques for Academic Writing. To begin the ceremony with the blessings of Ma Saraswati, I request the chief guests and dignitaries to virtually lighting of the lamp. I request technical team to play the video. Thank you. To welcome our chief guest of the ceremony, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, Dr. Upinder Dhar, to virtually welcome Chief Guest Professor G.D. Sharma, Vice President AIU and Vice Chancellor University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. Thank you. To brief us about the details of the FDP, I would like to invite Dr. Anand Rajawat, Dean Academic, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya and Nodal Officer, AIU FDP Academic and Administrative Development Center. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning to all. Chief guest and keynote speaker of the session, Professor G.D. Sharma ji, Vice President, Association of Indian Universities and Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. Dr. Upinder Dhar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Dr. Raksha Chauhan and Dr. Anand Prakash, coordinators of the FDP. Deans, Head of the Institute, Head of the Departments. Dr. Arvind Singh, Joint Registrar, Press and Media, and faculty members. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all in inaugural session of online FDP on the theme Tools and Techniques for Academic Writing, organized by Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya under the aegis of AIU Academic and Administrative Development Center SWV from 13th to 17th March 2023. AIU has established AIU Academic and Administrative Development Centers in 10 different universities across India. The objective of establishing these centers is to organize short-term professional development program for the faculty members and training program for the administrative functionaries of the member universities. We are glad to share that Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya is one of the AIU Academic and Administrative Development Center. AIU AADC will offer short-term programs of varying duration aimed at continuous capacity building of the key stakeholders through online and in physical modes. The objectives of AADC are to provide continuous knowledge and skill education and enhancement for the faculty in order to contribute effectively to the changing landscape of higher education. To train administrative staff in higher education institutions with appropriate skills to adapt to emerging information technologies. To prepare library professionals, and other technical staff in higher education institutes to contribute to knowledge come learning and research resources as per the global demand and the local needs. And to introduce research scholars to the principle of academic integrity and professional ethics. The theme of this faculty development program under AIU FDP ADC Center is Tools and Techniques for Academic Writing. Academic writing is a formal style of writing used by academicians for writing scholarly articles, reports, and publications. It plays a vital role in communicating ideas, information, and research to the wider section of academic community. Its purpose is to provide fact and information in a descriptive way according to the standards and discipline of academic subjects. By using statistical analysis softwares like MS Excel, SPSS, and LaTeX, researchers and academicians can transform their raw data into tables, graphs, and figures into more structured, precise, and presentable work to develop interpretations and new theories based on the evidence. MS Excel is a Microsoft Office component that serves as a powerful analytical tool. It is used to create the visual representation like charts, graphs, bar diagram, etc. of data with a variety of parameters. SPSS is an IBM tool and mainly used for statistical analysis of the data in the diversified areas like healthcare, educational, research, and surveys. LaTeX is a document preparation software for high quality typesetting. It is widely used in academia for the communication and publication of scientific documents like mathematics, computer science, engineering, physics, chemistry, etc. LaTeX can easily manage complex mathematical formula, large document containing sections, cross-references, tables, and figures, and automatic generation of bibliographies and indexes. In this FDP, all major concepts of MS Excel, SPSS, and LaTeX will be covered by industry and academic experts. 3 renowned speakers will deliver session during 5 days of FDP. Our speakers are Dr. Alok Bansal, Professor and Head, Data Analytics and Information System, Department of PIMR, Indore. Ms. Rasmi Saini, Data Scientist, IBM, Consulting, New Delhi, India. Dr. J.T. Andrew, Professor and Head, Department, Applied Physics and Optoelectronics, Sri GS Institute of Technology and Science, Indore. We received participation from various institutes across India, which includes Raffles University, Alwar, Rajasthan, Neotia University, Darbhanga, West Bengal, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, Subharti Dental College, Swami Vivekanand Subharti University, Meerut, UP, Institute of Architecture and Town Planning, Bundelkhand University, Jhansi, UP, Adi Acharya Giri University, Karnataka, Ganpat University, Mehsana, Gujarat, Om Sterling Global University, Hisar, Haryana, Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh, Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, Madhya Pradesh, SRM Dental College and Hospital, Chennai. Once again, I am delighted to welcome all the speaker and participant. We are sure that this FDP will be a memorable, highly educational, and not to be missed event. We truly value your participation and support for this FDP. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for providing the information about the FDP. I now invite Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Upinder Dhar for the welcome address.
Chief guest on this occasion, Professor G.D. Sharma, Vice President, Association of Indian Universities, all the directors of the constituent institutes, faculty colleagues, delegates of this faculty development program, and my dear friends. At the outset, I would like to welcome Dr. Sharma to this forum and would also express my grateful thanks to him for sparing some time for us. As Dr. Anand Rajawat has mentioned, that academic writing is one of the essential functions of an academician. An academician does not only share or disseminate what is given in the textbooks, but an academician is also expected to generate new knowledge and then disseminate it. And that new knowledge can be disseminated and shared when it is written in a proper manner. Academic writings differ from journalistic writings. Academic writings differ from other areas of writings. As mentioned by Dr. Rajawat, academic writing or scholarly writing helps scholars present ideas, analyze research, and construct an effective argument. Though the purpose of scholarly writing can vary among disciplines, this style of writing has many common features. That means, irrespective of the disciplines, we can see that there are certain common features. If you work in academia, you may benefit from knowing the characteristics and categories of scholarly writing to help you publish your original work. Any work, any original work that an academician has done should be published. Unless it is published, we cannot disseminate it. Unless it is published, we cannot ensure the authenticity of what one wants to say. Therefore, academic writing becomes the foundation for authenticity, recognition, and finally dissemination of that piece of knowledge. The first question arises, what is academic writing? Academic writing is a formal style of writing that researchers and educators use in scholarly publications. Formal style is a formal way of writing what we want to write. It focuses on evidence-based arguments and logical reasoning to guide a reader's understanding of a subject. So what is important here, it has to be evidence-based arguments. Writers can use this format to identify and analyze a concept and propose a theory or rational conclusion. So it is to be written in such a way so that it can build on, which may result into a theory. So theory does not happen just because somebody has said. There is a systematic construction which leads to the theory. That construction happens through academic writing. Professionals may use scholarly writing differently depending on their field. For example, scientists use this type of writing to explain their research and support their findings, while literary critics use scholarly writing to make a convincing argument through fact-finding research. So these are two separate disciplines. In science, one may use academic writing to explain the research that one has done and support it through various findings, the findings of the other researchers. While in literary work, there's another discipline. A scholarly writing is used to convince or to present convincing arguments through fact-finding research. Again, fact-finding. They're evidence-based. One should be able to convince. So there is a logic. It has to be based on logic, whatever one says. Now, there are certain characteristics which have been identified. It is across disciplines. There are certain characteristics. Common characteristics of scholarly writing often include, number one, formal tone and style. So in academic writing, irrespective of the discipline, there will be a formal tone and style. Say, for example, as a scientific writings, we do not use first form. We don't present it like I did it, we did it. No, it is done in an impersonal language, impersonal format. So formal tone and style. Scholarly writing uses a formal style that shows the writer's knowledge and expertise in the subject. Writers typically use the third person. As I said, we don't use first person. Writers typically use the third person point of view throughout scholarly writing to show objectivity. That's what I said. We don't use I, me, mine in scholarly writing or scientific writing. Formal writing has a serious tone to give credibility to the ideas the writer is presenting. Second characteristic is objective argument. Objective argument, there has to be objectivity. So minimize, in academic writing, we have to minimize this subjectivity. So objective argument. Academic writing aims to make an objective argument using evidence. Writers support their statements and key points using facts and evidence-based research. Unless we use evidence-based research, it can't become objective. So evidence-based approach ensures objectivity. The scientists or the right academicians use data and analysis to present an argument objectively without stating their own beliefs or assumptions. So here, as I said earlier, academic writing has to be impersonal. So one has not to thrust one's own view or opinion. It has to be based on what evidence proves. There has to be evidence-based, what analysis shows. So analysis, the outcome of analysis will be presented. Outcome of the evidence will be presented, not what necessarily a person believes in. Third point is use of resources. Writers use scholarly writing to show their knowledge of the subject. They support their conclusions with evidence and cite those resources, often including references in their work. So in an academic writing, it is not just a piece without any head or tail. No, there have to be references. One has to give the resources. If I am making an argument or I am presenting an argument, what is the basis? Where from I have drawn it? So references or the resources which I have used are to be given in an academic writing. References list all the scholarly articles, books, or other resources a writer refers throughout the text. It is important to cite sources in scholarly writing because it gives credit to others for their research and helps to support the major points of the text. That is necessary. I cannot state Newton's law and then without mentioning Newton, I cannot say present it in such a way that as if I'm saying it for the first time, first law, second law, third law. No, I have to give full credit to Newton. So whichever the field, full credit needs to be openly, transparently given to the scholars who have made those contributions. Fourth characteristic is logical structure. Clear and logical structure, scholarly writings can help. Those writings must have a clear and logical structure. And they help readers follow the text and make corrections between related concepts. So this logical structure is very important. It cannot be, academic writing cannot be haphazard. Kabhi kuch kahe, that won't work. There has to be a logical structure. You build on it. So you introduce a topic, you introduce it first, you give the background, how this concept has come. Then you would say how I have approached the problem, what is the problem and how I have approached it to find the solution. And so logical structure is very important in an academic writing. It is an introduction and a conclusion and a well-defined thesis statement. So what we want to say, what we want to prove, that should be very clearly given in an academic writing. A thesis statement is a summary, typically in the introductory paragraphs or introductory paragraph, that defines the key point or argument of the text. So that's why we introduce a topic on which we are writing. Then we give the rationale why the kind of work needs to be done, or why the kind of work was required to be done. Rationale. Then based on the rationale, we build up the objectives. What were my objectives? What I wanted to do. So first why, then what, and then how I have approached it. So this is the order: why, what, and how. So I should be able to logically place it. The body of the text supports the thesis statement, and here thesis it's in a wider sense, not only PhD thesis. It refers to any kind of work. So it's in a wider sense. So the body of the text supports the thesis statement, and the conclusion summarizes the idea and explains its significance. There has to be a concluding part, a tail piece. That is the concluding part. What I have ultimately, what is the outcome? Finally, what is the result? So when I had started with an introduction leading to rationale and objectives and then method, then final, then results and discussion, what I have ultimately, what do I conclude? Finally, what? So that comes in the conclusion. Then fifth characteristic of an academic piece or academic writing is free of errors. It has to be free of errors. It is important for scholarly writing to be clean, consistent, and free of errors, so that readers view the text as a credible source. You see, many times it happens. We have to reject an article or a paper submitted to a journal because language is so shabby, language is so incorrectly used, grammar is not used properly, and a reader cannot make out what does the author want to say. So we have to reject it. So therefore, errors should not be there. Language included. Language has to be clean, grammatically correct. Scholarly writing uses specific language to convey key points. It also follows grammatical rules and remains consistent with stylistic conventions. That style varies from journal to journal. So we should always go through the instructions for authors to understand the style of a particular journal. So that style we have to adhere to if we want to submit to a particular journal, such as spelling. Then further, when we say grammatical rules, we are referring to spelling, punctuation, and verb tense, where to use adjective, where to use verb, where to use noun. This is very important. So 7 categories of academic writing, if we have to divide them into categories broadly, there are 7 categories of academic or scholarly writing, which we generally encounter. What are those categories? 1, chapters, when we have to write chapters for the books or chapters for a thesis. This is one piece or one type or one category. These edited publications can offer different viewpoints on a single topic or idea. That is, first one is chapters. Then second one is essays. There are many academic essays. We may, based on the evidence, based on the researches done earlier, we may write essays. An essay is a short piece of writing, usually between 1500 to 2000 words, that presents an idea. Or say, for example, I may write an essay on branding. What is branding? How branding happens? And I may convey that, my understanding about branding based on the evidence, based on the researches done earlier, as an essay. So any concept can be chosen, and an essay can say values. I may write an essay on values, but not that what I have seen in the dreams. No, it is based on the evidence, based on the studies which have been done earlier. So second is the essay, chapters, essays. Then the third one is research articles, which we generally do. Research articles. A research article provides an in-depth analysis of the author's independent research. It clearly explains the processes and methods used by the researcher to show how he arrived at a conclusion. That is very, very important. How we are making such conclusions, that how should be very clear. It usually refers other data and resources to reinforce the findings of the research. We have to reinforce it. That's what we do in a discussion part. So writers often submit these articles to academic journals or similar publications. Then coming to fourth category of writings, that is technical reports. A technical report explains the progress or results of technical research. Often researchers write these reports to submit to the sponsor or organization funding the research project. It may include recommendations based on the results of the research. These documents rarely go through a peer review process. When we are writing a technical report and submitting it to a, say, funding organization, so it doesn't go through a peer review, which an article goes. An article goes through peer review. But a technical report which is submitted to a funding organization may not be going for the peer review. So for this reason, researchers often use these reports as a primary draft. So technical report becomes a primary draft that they can later refine before submitting their work to scholarly publications. Then fifth category, annotated bibliographies. This is the fifth category of academic writing, annotated bibliographies. An annotated bibliography is a comprehensive list of sources on a topic that includes brief descriptions or evaluations of each source. So for example, I choose leadership. So what people, different authors, different writers, different researchers have reported about leadership. So when I do it briefly, I'm reporting what X study has reported, what Y study has done, but I'm doing it for a particular concept, particular say leadership, I said as an example. So this becomes an annotated bibliography. It summarizes these sources, usually in a paragraph format, say each, maybe say roughly, each paragraph for each study. So there may be 50 on leadership. So for each paragraph, one paragraph I draw from each study on leadership. And then finally I may conclude, what do I learn? What are the learnings from these 50 studies? This becomes annotated bibliography. For example, the writer, another example could be the writer may include the source's principal argument. How this paragraph is written. So one has to draw a particular source, a paper or book or thesis, whichever, principal argument. What is the principal argument? What is the conclusion? And how far it is reliable? These bibliographies are independent documents that can give the reader an overview of the research and findings on a specific topic. Then sixth category is thesis. That is the sixth category. A thesis, sometimes known as a dissertation. In some universities, dissertation word is used when we are referring to masters and MPhil level or MTech level. And thesis is used for the doctoral work. But there is no fixed rule. In some universities, they use the term dissertation also. So that may vary. So thesis and dissertation sometimes may be used interchangeably. But generally, where we are having master's level, we may be using dissertation, term dissertation or thesis for the doctoral level. So a thesis, sometimes known as a dissertation, is a document that summarizes the author's research on a specific topic. That is how thesis are typically those pursuing an advanced degree, such as a master's degree or doctorate, submit a thesis at the end of their program as a requirement for graduation. It usually builds on existing research to contribute new knowledge or theories on the topic. So thorough review is necessary. And the final last category is literary analysis. A literary analysis evaluates a literary work, such as a book or a collection of poetry. So I may choose Shakespeare and critically analyze the works contributed by Shakespeare. Or I may choose Wordsworth and some of his books and then analyze them critically. So that's called literary analysis. Authors of a literary analysis persuasively communicate their interpretation of an idea or concept in the literature. For example, there may be a particular author, and when I analyze his works, I may find a common link. So for example, he had a very bad childhood in reality, but those experiences of his childhood are getting reflected in the works that he has done, in the works that he has, literal works that he has done. So that may be outcome of my analysis. So these are various types or categories of the academic writing. Now, finally, I would like to share some tips, academic writing tips, which are very important for all academicians to remember. If you use an academic writing style, here are some tips to remember. One, cite all the resources you use. If we do not honestly report the resource, then we may be caught up in the plagiarism. That means reporting somebody's work in my name. That is wrong, that is illegal. We call what we call plagiarism. It is critical to cite any source that one has used in scholarly writing using a consistent style. Second, depending on your academic field, you can use style guides from various journals as a reference to help you format these citations. That means, as I said earlier also, we must always refer the instructions to authors of a journal before sending any paper. See, because all journals do not have the same style. It varies. Therefore, it is very, very important for every academician to refer to the instructions to authors before sending any paper or any article to that particular journal. Citing various sources correctly can help in showing your work in terms of independent thinking and analysis. Now, second tip, write concisely and summarize. Write concisely and summarize. This is second tip. There should not be what we call beating the bush. We should never do that. Matlab ki baat karein. Be concise and summarize. Though some academic works such as the thesis can be lengthy documents, it is important to keep writing concise, to summarize the key points. That is very important. We should not lose hold on the key points that we want to present. Similarly, we have to always keep a hold on what we have committed in the beginning of the work, how we have done it, and then what do we arrive at. So that there is a logical sequence in the whole work, the whole piece of work that we have done. Look for places in your writing where you can repeat concepts you stated previously or where you use redundant phrases. When possible, divide sentences of more than 25. Generally, it is a thumb rule. When possible, divide sentences of more than 25 words into 2 or more sentences. So sentences should not be compound, complex, too long. So generally, thumb rule is that, well, a sentence should be restricted to 25 words. If this is more than 25, break it down. Don't make too long sentences. This can improve. Why we should do that? This can improve the readability of the text and make it easier for readers to understand the ideas. Well, coming to this workshop, here, as Dr. Anand Rajawat has already mentioned, that today things have become very easy. We are having tools and various techniques available, particularly in the IT area, which was not so earlier. So, during our younger days, everything was done manually. But today we are in a better position that we have many IT tools, many softwares which can facilitate us. Ultimately, software will not write for you. Author has to write, academician has to write. But these are all tools and techniques which can facilitate. Say, for example, in making the table, for example, in concising some concepts or some data, that helps. During our days, younger days, everything was done by us manually, and we would draw the table. We will spend time on thinking what kind of table it should be, how complex it should be, how to make it simple, and so on and so forth. But today, these tools and techniques are available, and we must be aware of these tools and techniques. So during this workshop, more light will be thrown on these tools and techniques. Now, not further delaying Dr. Sharma's deliberation and learning from his experience, I thank you and wish you happy learning during this workshop. I once again welcome Dr. Sharma to this workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words of appreciation and highlighting the importance of academic writing in education and research area. And you have set the perfect platform for all the speakers in the FDP. Thank you, sir. I am honored to introduce a distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma, who is a leading educationist, eminent scholar, reputed life scientist, and well-known academic administrator of India as a Vice Chancellor. Professor G.D. Sharma is currently Vice President of Association of Indian Universities and Vice Chancellor of University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. He has served 2 central universities of Government of India in the northeastern states, like in the Northeastern Hill University, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, NARIST, Arunachal Pradesh, and in the Assam University as Head Dean, Life Sciences and Pro-Vice Chancellor, and in Nagaland Central University as Vice Chancellor for nearly 45 years. During his tenure as Vice Chancellor, he has deputed by the Ministry of External Affairs to Myanmar, Rangoon University in 2005 to uplift the higher education standard. For his remarkable contributions in the field of research and education, Professor Sharma was awarded the Birbal Sahni Award by Indian Botanical Society, Best Research Paper Award by Indian Phytopathological Society, Higher Education Leadership Award by International Society, Deeds Award by Federation of Indian Universities, UNESCO, Dr. Narasimhan Medal Award by Indian Phytopathological Society, Rashtriya Ratna Award by International Studies Center, Education Excellency Award by CCLP Worldwide, Outstanding Educational Contribution Award by CMAI New Delhi, and many more. Professor G.D. Sharma visited many countries and was also associated as president with a non-government organization like Greens of Silchar, which was awarded first prize in 2010-11 for its social contributions. His contributory work has also been quoted in many international journals, books, along with his 350 research publications, 1,300 citations, 1 patent, 13 books, 7 journals, 7 research projects undertaken as investigator. He has supervised 53 PhD and 5 postdoctoral fellow work under his esteemed guidance. It's a pleasure to listen to the words of Dr. G.D. Sharma. I request sir to kindly address us with his words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And in this faculty development program on tools and techniques for academic writing, we have Honorable Vice Chancellor of Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, Dr. Upen Dharji, and the Dr. Anand Rajawat, Director and Coordinator of this academic program, other directors of the institute, and Dr. Kavita Sharma and Dr. Jagasan, all other respected speakers in this program, and dear delegates. First of all, I thank Dr. Upen Dharji and congratulate him for continuously organizing different aspects these faculty development programs, which are helpful for improving the quality of teaching, learning, and research, particularly in the area of both science and the social sciences, and the deliberations which will be helpful for improving the quality of the research, particularly through writings. And as he said, that not only our as a teacher's job is to disseminate the knowledge, but also to create the knowledge and publish this knowledge. When we say create the knowledge, it includes the publication of the various articles at different levels. As he said that these articles may vary, and particularly of 7 types. So being a teacher or a researcher, they can publish articles in different forms, whether it is for journals or a chapter in book or a review article or an article for magazine, depending upon who will be the persons, who will be the readers, and accordingly, based on that, the article is written by the researchers. When we say that academic writing, Professor Dhar has rightly said that it varies from the general writing, that general writing can start from anywhere on a particular topic. But in case of academic writing, this has to be supported by a number of facts and figures, and these facts and figures should be repeatable. Anybody wants to check that the same observation should be there in given space and time. That is very important. Then only we can say academic writing. It cannot be only a writing which cannot be repeatable. So academic writing is the basis with facts which are sustainable and repeatable, as well as they have systematic way of going to the conclusion. And that is why Dr. Dhar said that it needs evidences. And these evidences which are going to be presented needs the support of earlier work, as well as the interpretation why this writing is going to conclude a proper conclusion, or a particular either adding the concept or proving or disproving the earlier concept, or adding the explanation of that concept in a further in either different ways, or bringing more conciseness. So these are some of the factors which help in academic writing, and therefore we call it a quality of article depends on these things, then type of knowledge added to this. And it should not have the part of plagiarism, it should have proper citation. How to cite, that is important. That no plagiarism is there, as Professor Dhar said, that the claiming of the work of other published person should not be claimed as if it belongs to us or to a person who is writing for this academic publication. So when we come for this process of academic writing, what tools and techniques are required? The first of all comes in mind the idea based on our knowledge which we have gained earlier before NEP 2020. Generally, these academic writings were done after attaining either master degree or even doing some research. After that, the capacity and capability was developed to write the academic writing. Though the general writing occurs even before that, for magazine or for newspaper. And in case of systematic writing, a training for this is required. In NEP 2020, now this training is given even at graduate level. That is in 4th year of the graduation, where students can get this training and start writing, and therefore the contribution to the quality research publication can enhance, and the quality of academic writing also can be improved. This will help to compare the existing our quality work and further improving the quality research in the area of science, technology, or social science and humanities, or literature, any branch of the area wherever we have the expertise. Now, as Professor Dhar has rightly said, that earlier times, very less support was available, particularly support in the form of technology, support in the form of those statistical tools which now we have. I also remember that earlier statistical analysis was done manually. It used to take time and it was very difficult to do the long calculations. But now there are tools available, whether it is SPSS or any other tools which can help in putting your data for analysis. But what is more important is that what we want to get out of this technology is important. That is the main thing from the researcher, that what he wants, how he wants to use this technology is important. So the initial stage comes the incubation part of your idea, generation of idea, and developing either concept or using the concept which has already been developed. And if this concept is giving repeatable and other things, it may lead to developing a theory. And therefore, we can say that this theory tells like this, and number of theories are available in different, particularly in scientific field, and this has been also enlarged, but basic things remain same. Whenever we are adding the knowledge, that is different part. So therefore, when we want to write any article, say, for example, on algae or in botany or on a tree, what is important that now why it is tree, why it is algae, why it is different from other groups, what are the characteristics, is there any now? These are already known in book, but it is necessary to know. Now question comes how to further take these aspects or characteristics of those plants or those new areas where they may have association, they may have different water quality in which they grow, they may have different soil types in which they prefer, in which they proliferate. So these are the things which will add the knowledge, and this will become, when we put into this, an academic writing. So what is required is that we need, first of all, that to demonstrate the understanding of the subject, the topic, whether we have good understanding of that particular topic on which we are going to write. That is very important. And also to know this, we need to demonstrate this knowledge through literature. That means the review of literature. Relevant review of literature becomes important, that now review of literature will give what are the gaps remaining in understanding. And those gaps need to be picked up so that you write or do the further writing on those gaps. Now, when we pick up those gaps, becomes the objective, that these are the gaps and these are my objective of writing. So objective of writing becomes the part and gives clear-cut knowledge for the reader that this academic writing or academic paper is going to explain and add the new knowledge on these aspects. So clarity of the work is very important, for which we are going to write on that particular aspects. Now comes when dealing this, what are the tools? First of all, how to design the experiment. And when we are designing the experiment, in mind, a number of question comes, that whatever we have thought may be true or may not be true, what we call hypothesis. So it is necessary to develop the hypothesis, that 2-3 things are coming in our mind, or maybe only one thing is coming in mind, that whatever I have thought is correct. But in last, the null hypothesis indicates that whatever I thought was really correct or not correct, proved or not proved, by doing our writing part, ultimately reaching to the conclusion. So we have to be very clear about reaching through the interpretation to the conclusion, that what are those steps which give accurate description of the issue. That is very important. And this gives a historical development of the issue. That is also important, until unless we know that how the background of the issue or those gaps is there, it will not be possible to explain the issue by tracing and explaining the steps which we are going to deal with it. And therefore, it becomes very important to establish relationship with different issues related to this particular topic, and also to bring a concept and also to reach to the conclusion. A systematic approach is a basic importance of the academic writing. And therefore, we need that to start the writing, academic writing, a critical review of the topic, as well as the thinking in that is required, and therefore the literature review and also the citation of those in shorter form becomes the important part of this. Therefore, to reach this, the academic writing is divided in different parts. Whether it is a social science or science, with a minor variations, but the core concept remains almost same. As I said, that the concept needs to be supported by those innovators who have already added, or it may be a discovery. If it is a discovery, that means that earlier no one has worked out. But to prove this, that no one has worked out, we need to also provide the basic thing in support of our discovery. Generally, when we are saying academic writing, we mean the academic orientation for a good quality research work. Earlier, it was not measurable, but now this can be measured in terms of impact factor. That means what kind of your academic writing is, which can be published in a good journal. If it is published in magazine, it may not be that quality oriented academic writing. So that is the thing, that this is one part. Another part of the quality measurement is citation. Whether your academic writing is referred by any other person, or whether it is up to this standard that this knowledge is referred or cited by other authors. So this gives an idea and assessment of self-academic writing, that what are those aspects of quality measurement where our paper comes into. As we have seen, there are some journals like Nature, Science. They do not publish very long papers, maybe one page. And many authors may join together. That means there may be collaborative writing, not individual writing. And each collaborator will add some conceptual part of it to give a better conclusion, which will open the new area of the academic writings. Many academic writings can take place in the new areas. So therefore, that kind of the academic writing will be much better. Now, what exactly is required for such things? The requirement is a huge knowledge of literature and concising your concept. Not a descriptive one only. Because if it is a very long descriptive article, you are not able to make proper conclusion. But in a small, very highly knowledge going through the article, but very clear, as Professor Dhar also said, that your clarity should be there, what you want to say, and how this writing will give the new area of the knowledge, which can be further opening a number of articles to be published in that area. That is very important. But what we have seen, we write sometimes an article, say survey of particular city, survey of this. So those are necessary to give the knowledge, but not adding the new knowledge. It becomes the repetitive writing. And therefore, it may be good for planning department. It may be good we cannot say it is not useful or like that, but when we want to say that we are going to add the new notice, the difference between our writing and foreigners' writing is they take its broader applicability, not a very localized knowledge. There will be variation in localized and other things, but say, for example, if medical doctor wants to do the research on, as we have seen, some vaccine. So vaccine development on a larger area which is occurring will bring better knowledge, better acceptability, rather than using the medicine on a localized level. So therefore, what we have seen, the research carried on a larger applicability, which also has the more generation of the also academic plus the business, or what we call it revenue generation, is called better academic writing. And this kind of the better writing, which has the intellectual property right, that means its application is also there to create or to apply this knowledge into creating the business. And that is how this leads ultimately going for the patent. What we have seen in our academic system in India, we have been giving more emphasis on publishing papers in different journals, but we are not giving more emphasis on intellectual property right, so that the patents publication and those patents used for the industries or industrial development are very less. And that is one of the reasons that our research, which is carried out in various universities, research institutes, is comparable only for the knowledge addition, but not a new knowledge addition. That is very important. And most of those Western or other countries, they create new knowledge which help in creating the development of society, which help in improving the living standard, which help in creating new business. And therefore, the innovation terms comes. Innovative writing. How a person can start innovative writing depends on a number of the years or the months devoted before publishing, collecting the proper data by either using tertiary or secondary or primary. As Professor Dhar said, that it may be experimental for scientists, it may be theoretical also, theoretical research also, or it may be based on collecting the quantitative data, but ultimately this will require a proper analysis and giving the concept. And ultimately, this concept can be good for developing particular models, and how these environments or other factors can influence this model becomes very important. And therefore, it will also create the pressures on the researchers that he should not only think on one direction, but take multiple approach in creating the better approach and analytical things in quality research papers. Recently, our universities, our scientists, our social scientists, and also the scholars, they have started using this technology, knowing what type of research is being carried out on a particular topic all over the world. And because now it is easy to have the online access to the various number of journals, as well as the various research being published. And therefore, it becomes easier to identify the area. But what is more important is, not in a hurry, you may publish good quality few papers, but these may have a better impact on the research contributions, or what we call the academic writings, which has impact in creating new knowledge, and therefore it can directly be related both socio-economic development, and this development is directly related to the amount of research or amount of the quality publication done in any country. And this also indicates that it also needs support or resource, particularly to come to the precise form. Now new tools, new equipments have come into existence. Say, for example, earlier the measurement was in hardly 0.01 mg, 0.001 mg, but up now it is not only 0.00, but it is hundreds mg micro molecule level, and how the molecules interact with each other, the both structural and functional level, and therefore it becomes very clear to demonstrate also. That is how these resources to show all these things, to carry out this research, and which also keeps on changing, this needs the support of financial support. And therefore what we feel that in India, the financial support is very less. And that is why in most of the colleges and the universities, more repetitive work is being done. And therefore the new knowledge addition is very less or limited knowledge. Even the good research laboratory, the upgradation of the equipment is very slow. And therefore, when we write that this analysis has been done in that model, it does not go for the publication in a good journal, because more precise knowledge is available. And therefore, this makes a gap of the quality of academic writing. And this, मैं 5 मिनट के बाद फोन करूं. So therefore, what we feel is important to have now, since resource are limited, to have collaboration with national research laboratories, national libraries, which have less users, more facilities. And I am sure that when you have this kind of approach, a quality academic writings using modern tools can give a new knowledge, recognizable knowledge, and quality knowledge. And this can bring the more patents, and also these patents can be used by the industries to improve the existing item or create the new item which are required for the growth and development of this one. Say, for example, when we go to a doctor, a medical doctor, a small equipment required to clean this teeth is coming from abroad, because that research has not been done. If we see this pen, so many researches for improving the ball pen have already been done, and most of these research are being done abroad, we are only following. So what we feel, there are number of areas which need to explore, particularly our India is so rich in bioresources and natural resources. And if we add the new knowledge in this area, it can generate lot of economy of the country. And therefore, I feel that there is so much scope for our quality academic writings, and also for developing a good project which can also be used in Northeast. Let me just explain that Government of India has allowed twinning program, that two institutes can take the joint research project, which will be much bigger, a mega project, and which gives opportunity to use the strength of 2 or 3 institutes or 2 or 3 researchers, and therefore they can formally lead to a quality project, which will also lead to developing a quality papers, academic papers, and those papers can create a new knowledge which can be patented or like that. With this my addition, because Professor Dhar has covered in a very detailed aspects of the general format, formal styles and all those things. So without going into this, I feel that if we are going to deal with this in our particular area with a very exhaustive knowledge and create some knowledge which can be applied, will give the more advantage in getting recognition. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to speak to us about academic writing. Your insights and expertise were incredibly valuable. Your tips and strategies will undoubtedly help us to become a better writer. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. I now request coordinator of the FDP, Dr. Raksha Chauhan, to propose the words of thanks.
Thank you, Rupali ma'am. It's an indeed pleasure and honor for me to propose vote of thanks on this special occasion. I am extremely thankful to our chief guest, Professor G.D. Sharma sir, Vice President AIU and Vice Chancellor UTSM, for accepting our invitation and gracing the event. I feel highly inspired by your thought-provoking words, sir, and certainly participants are going to incorporate all the important theories for academic writing for doing multidisciplinary, modern, ethical, and significant research for self as well as nation's development. I am also thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Upinder Dhar sir for his constant motivation, enthusiastic support, guidance, and providing this opportunity to me. I am sure that your wisdom key ideas about academic writing are going to help to the participants to do meaningful research toward the benefit of the society. I am also grateful to the session speaker, Dr. J.T. Andrew, Professor and Head, Department of Applied Physics and Optoelectronics, SGITS, Indore, for attending the inaugural session. My sincere thanks to Dr. Anand Rajawat sir, Nodal Officer, AIU FDP AADC, for his extended help throughout, guidance, ever-ready support, and constant motivation. My heartfelt thanks to all the participants joined from various cities of different states. I am also thankful to all the HOI, HOD, Registrar Sir, faculty member, and students. At last, I am thankful to the team members, Dr. Rupali Bharti and Dr. Anand Prakash. My thanks to the technical team, Mr. Abhishek Sharma, Mr. Shadab Sheikh, Mr. Alok Malviya, Mr. Shrikant Telan, for their enthusiastic involvement and support. Thanks to one and all for spending your valuable time with us. Have a great day ahead. Over to you, Rupali ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. for the gratitude. Now I would like to request everyone to kindly stand up as we pay tribute to our nation with our national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank Chief Guest Dr. G.D. Sharma, Dr. Rupinder Dhar, Dr. Anand Rajabat, Dr. Akshay Chauhan, all participants, audience, and everyone for joining us today to commence this faculty development program. We hope that this program will equip us with the necessary skills and knowledge to become better educators and researchers. Thank you all for being with us and grace the event. Thank you. Our first session of the FDP will begin at 2 p.m.